Does your teenager sometimes act like they have none of the values you've tried to teach them? Maybe they talk back. Maybe they don't take responsibility. Or maybe they don't work hard. And it makes you wonder, where did I go wrong? Here's the part most parents don't realize. It's not that your teen doesn't understand your values. It's that values aren't learned the way most parents try to teach them. I've worked with teens and parents around the world, and I've seen this pattern over and over again. In this video, I'm going to show you 8 ways to actually build strong values in your teen. Not through lectures, reminders, or punishment, but in a way that sticks, even when you're not there. And as a parent, you know how important values are. The way I think about it, teens don't rise to the level of their potential. They sink to the level of their values. So I'm sure you'll find this video useful. I'm Daniel Wong. I'm a teen coach and I specialize in helping teens thrive. Most parents try to teach values by explaining them. Be responsible, be respectful, work hard. But values don't work like instructions. Values are more like an internal compass. They shape how your teen makes decisions when no one is watching. And here's the key. When values are internalized, your teen doesn't do the right thing because they have to. They do it because they want to. So the question isn't, how do I get my teen to behave the way they should? The real question is, how do I shape what drives them from the inside? Let's talk about the 8 tips to do exactly that. Tip number 1. Stop teaching values. Start living them under pressure. Most parents try to model good values when things are calm. Yes, your teen notices what you do in calm moments. But the moments that leave the deepest impression are the ones when you're stressed or frustrated. Let's say your teen forgets to do something important. You've reminded them multiple times. You're tired and annoyed. And in that moment, your tone changes. Why are you always so forgetful? I've told you to do it so many times. Now, even if your message is valid, what your teen is actually learning is this. When things don't go your way, it's okay to lose control. Now imagine a situation where you respond differently. I'm feeling frustrated right now because this was important. Can we talk about how to make sure this doesn't happen again? Same situation, but completely different lesson. Now you're teaching emotional control, responsibility, and respect. Remember, your teen doesn't learn values from your instructions. They learn values from your reactions. Tip number 2, don't correct mistakes. Decode them. When your teen makes a mistake, most parents move straight into correction mode. You should have done this. You shouldn't have done that. But correction often leads to your teen shutting down. They become defensive and stop reflecting on their mistake. They just want the conversation to end. So I encourage you to think of mistakes as something to decode. Let's say your teen misses a homework deadline for the 3rd time this month. So the teacher sends you an email about this. You might be tempted to say to your teen, "Come on, we've talked about this before. You need to be more responsible." You could say something like this instead. "Help me understand what happened here. When did you realize you were falling behind?" Now you're helping your teen identify the pattern. Maybe they underestimated how long the assignment would take. Or maybe they kept putting it off because it felt overwhelming. Or maybe they completely forgot about the assignment. Then you can guide them further. What do you think would help you handle something like this better next time? Now your teen isn't just being corrected. They're learning how to think through their decisions and habits. Over time, this approach is what builds responsibility and other positive values. Tip number 3. Don't lecture about values. Make them visible. One of the biggest reasons teens tune out is because values feel abstract. Resilience, integrity, kindness, excellence, commitment, etc. These are all great values, but they sound like big ideas that don't always connect to daily life. So instead of explaining values, make them visible. Let's say you're watching a show together with your teen. A character in the show cheats to get ahead. Instead of saying, "That's wrong," you might say, "It's interesting that he got what he wanted. But now he feels guilty and he has to keep lying to cover it up. That's usually the cost of not living with integrity." Or maybe a teen tells you about something that happened at school. A friend took credit for someone else's work. You could respond with, "That's tough." Moments like that can really shape the kind of person someone is becoming. You're not lecturing. You're helping your teen see values in action. In real life, not just in theory. And the more they see it, the more they start recognizing it in themselves and others. Tip number 4, don't tell them to care. Put them where caring happens. As a parent of 3 children, I'm tempted to say things to them like, "You should be more considerate. You need to think more about others." But I know those statements don't change anything. because caring isn't something you can force. It's something that develops through experience. For example, your teen might frequently complain about what they don't have. You talk to them about gratitude, but it doesn't really stick. Then they have an experience that puts them in contact with real needs outside themselves. It might be volunteering, helping a relative, serving at a community event, or doing something practical for someone who's having a hard time. They see the challenges that other people face. They hear real stories, and now something shifts. They don't need a lecture anymore because now they feel it. And that feeling is what shapes values. So instead of trying to convince your teen to care, try to put them in environments where caring becomes natural. Because experience is what turns values from ideas into reality. If you're finding this video helpful so far, please click the like button. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos about helping teens thrive. Tip number 5. Don't protect them from every struggle. Stand beside them in it. As a parent, it's natural to want to protect your teen from pain. You don't want them to feel discouraged or stressed. But at a deeper level, we know that the values we care most about, like compassion, humility, courage, and commitment, are built through challenging situations. Let's say your teen is going through a tough time. Maybe they didn't make the volleyball team, or maybe they had a big fight with a friend. Your parental instinct is to step in and fix it. But most of the time, the more effective approach is to say something like this to your teen. That sounds really disappointing. I can see why you feel that way. Do you want to talk about it? Later on, you might say, what do you plan to do next? Now your teen knows they're not alone, and you're also giving them space to work through the situation. They're learning to process, reflect, decide, and act. This is vital because confidence doesn't come from not having any problems. It comes from learning over time that yes, I can handle difficult situations. Tip number 6. Don't praise outcomes. Name the identity you see. Most praise focuses on outcomes. Good job. Well done. I'm proud of you for accomplishing this. It's okay if you use this type of praise once in a while. But if you want to build character in your teen, you need to reinforce identity. Let's say your teen studies consistently for a week. Instead of saying, that's great, you might say, I've noticed you've been really consistent this week. That shows discipline. Or if your teen shows kindness to someone, you might say, that was thoughtful of you. I can see real growth in the way you treat people. You definitely shouldn't overdo it. But if you say these types of things occasionally, you're helping your teen form an identity. And identity drives long-term behavior. Because once your teen starts to believe that I'm a disciplined person or I'm someone who cares about others, they don't need to rely on external motivation anymore. Instead, they start acting in a way that's aligned with their values and with who they believe they are. Tip number 7. Don't try to control every friendship. Shape their environment. At some point, your teen's world expands beyond your control. Their friends and what they see online begin to shape them. But if you try to control all these things directly, it will lead to resistance. For example, if you say to your teen, I don't want you hanging out with those friends, that usually pushes your teen closer to those very people. Instead, I encourage you to shift your approach and say something like this instead. I've noticed that when you spend time with those friends, you seem a bit more on edge and not quite yourself. What do you think about that? By taking this approach, your teen will be much less likely to feel criticized or attacked. You can shape the environment in other ways too. For example, you can invite your teen's friends to hang out at your house so you can get to know them better. Encourage your teen to get involved in activities where there are standards to be met, like a sports team, music group, or part-time job, where accountability matters. And create regular routines at home where positive habits are the norm, like having meals together as a family and having device-free conversations. Tip number 8. Don't give speeches. Tell stories they can see themselves in. If you've ever given your teen a long lecture before, you've probably noticed how quickly they tune out. But stories are different. Stories create connection. They lower resistance and make ideas relatable. For example, instead of telling your teen that they need to start making better decisions, you can share a personal experience from your own life. Think about a time when you made a decision that seemed insignificant in the moment, but led to consequences you didn't expect. Tell your teen what happened, what you were thinking at the time, and what you learned from the experience. When you do this, your teen is far more likely to listen because they're being drawn into a real situation they can relate to. Instead of pushing a lesson onto your teen, you're giving them space to arrive at the insight themselves. Stories are more effective than lectures because you're not trying to force your teen to agree with your perspective. Stories invite your teen to reflect, and reflection is what causes values to take root. So now you know how to help your teen develop the right values. But does your teen sometimes lack motivation? If so, I have a resource for you. It's this free ebook I've written called 16 Keys to Motivating Your Teenager. Visit daniel-wong.com/ebook to download the ebook today. The download link is also in the description. And here's this other video I've created about the proven 7-step system to raise a motivated and responsible teen. In the video, I explain exactly how the system works. You'll find this video useful, so watch it next.